Hi everyone, it's Luke here and welcome to the 2018 Geneva Motorshow. It's my third time coming to this event, and prior to actually flying out here to Switzerland, I had a look at some of the press releases and the various exhibitor lists, and I have to say, this year is set to be huge. Probably the biggest one that I've ever been to. There was an unreal amount of press releases, world debuts and so on. So it's going to be quite tricky to film all of them. I'm going to do my best. I'm here for 2 days, which is the first two press days. Today is the 6th, the first. And anyway, yeah, I've got a lot to do, so I better crack on. And let's see what this year's event has on offer. First stop today is at the McLaren stand. Now behind this little curtain here is a car which they are going to surprise the world with in about 45 minutes. But because I'm on quite a tight schedule, I'm going to have to come back later on in the video. But I thought I'd take this opportunity to take a look at the new Senna. This thing is probably the most controversial car that has ever been released ever. And having seen one in person, it does look good. It looks so much better than it does in photos. Obviously back when the car was revealed at the Winter Ball, at McLaren HQ back in December, they didn't use the right spec, they didn't use the right lighting, and so instantly everyone pretty much hated it. The proportions weren't right in the photos and so on and so on. But here in the flesh, sitting here, it looks awesome. Now this car is finished in Victory Grey, which actually looks quite blue. If I spin this around, it's very pearlescent as well. It looks very blue on camera. We've also got the contrast orange calipers as well as the multi-spoke silver wheels. Now if I put round to the back, which is probably the talking point of the Senna, we can see the Pagani style exhausts kind of mounted almost on top of the car, and then we have this absolutely ludicrous rear wing which actually uses more downforce on track than a P1 GTR. How ridiculous is that? This thing straight out of the box is road legal, and it's also half the price of the P1 GTR, so that is pretty impressive. Now the Senna has a lot of features on it which are very out there. I think McLaren are the king of creating cars which are very futuristic. Like when the 720S was revealed last year's show, everyone was like, about the styling, but now everyone loves it. Now if I zoom down here, we can see the glass panels in the doors, and also on the roof and through the rear quarters as well. Now that ultimately creates a very, very good driving perspective. You get such good visibility, making it a real driver's car. Now you join me at the front. We kind of have the 720S style lights, although they are tweaked obviously. They also have the kind of secondary colour, the contrast colour, which are used on the calipers, kind of in these little ducts here. Now if I was speccing a Senna, I personally would want those black, because it's kind of hidden away in the front, and if it's the wrong colour it could look a little bit dodgy. We also have the kind of McLaren F1 style split windows, which are very cool, kind of reminiscent of where McLaren first started. And yeah, this thing is an absolute monster. It's one of those cars which looks fast, just sat here. So we're over here now at the Pagani stand, as you can see. Now they have two cars here on show this year, one being this, the HP Barchetta. This is, well, supposedly the final Zonda. The Zonda has been a model which they've been producing for years and years, and it's just such a legendary design, and this is essentially the ultimate Zonda. Only 3 of these things will be built in total, this being one of them, and this is actually Horacio Pagani's personal car. So 2 lucky Pagani customers will get their hands on one of these things, and this thing just screams Zonda. Everything, out of all the models that have come out, this is probably the best of the best, hence why it cost 15 million. Now on the other side of the stand we have this, the Pagani Huayra Rosa. Now I believe this is one of the first customer cars that have actually been produced. Eagle-eyed viewers will see the slightly dodgy US spec plate placement on the back, but this thing looks stunning. It's kind of like a grey tinted carbon fibre, so kind of your standard carbon fibre finish. But like I was saying over at the HP Barchetta, the carbon weave on this thing is unbelievable. And it's also got the red contrast accents all around the car, both interior and exterior. And this thing, in my opinion, has got to be one of the best looking cars on the market right now. So it's not just car manufacturers bringing out new cars at this year's show. The Geneva Motorshow is commonly scattered with a few tuner companies as well. Now I'm currently on the Mansory stand, where they have quite an extraordinary selection of cars. Now in front of me here we have their 720S, which they've just revealed. Now typical Mansory style, it's not only dripping in some fancy carbon, but it also looks pretty ridiculous too. We've got a whole new body kit, it seems, with a crazy rear bumper, side skirts, 4 exhausts on the back, and then if I zoom inside, we've got some crazy custom interior too. It's kind of blue and yellow, which is well, different. If I swing around here, we've got some louvres, an equally as crazy front splitter. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'm not sure how many people are actually going to opt for this. We've also got a DB11 here, a few Mansory Mercedes. But yeah, let me just quickly go back to this carbon. I mean, I have not seen anything like it. Mansory, for me, are most known for their carbon weaves. And if I pop over here, I can explain that even further. Check that out. That is a Mansory Vevere, obviously based on the Veyron, as you can very obviously see. But, like I was just saying over there by the 720, check out this carbon weave. It is like nothing I've ever seen. It kind of reminds me of a granite finish in a kitchen, or some paper mache, but it's just crazy. It almost looks camo with all of the different kind of structural pieces of it. One thing I've just noted as well, it has a diamond badge. That is absolutely ludicrous. But if I spin the camera around here, we have this. Now this is the first ever, to my knowledge, customized 812 Superfast. Now last year at the Geneva Motorshow, this car in standard form was revealed, and this year we can see Mansory's take on it. Now it's certainly unusual, as are all of Mansory's products. You got to give it to them. This thing looks absolutely crazy. The F1 style fog light at the back flashing away, but just check out this carbon. It's kind of similar to the Veyron we were just checking out, but it's kind of got these little red infused bits in it, and it's just ludicrous. So tucked in the corner we have the Hennessey stand where they have the new Venom F5. This thing is pretty insane. This is America's attempt at building a hypercar, and what a hypercar it is. And this thing has a twin turbo V8 producing 1600 horsepower and has a rumored top speed of 301. Could this be the first car to officially hit 300 miles an hour? This thing, you can tell by looking at it that it's just built for top speed. Only 24 of them are going to be built, so it's going to be pretty difficult to get your hands on. But wow, what a car. This thing is nuts. Now at Bugatti, taking a look at the new Chiron Sport. Now this car really isn't as new and as improved as you'd expect. It's got the same top speed, it's got the same 0 to 60, it's got the same standard untuned engine, but this is actually being called a track-friendly Chiron, so a track-friendly Bugatti, which is very, very new. It's actually 70 kilograms lighter than the standard Chiron, which for Bugatti, they don't pride themselves in weight reduction. It is quite a lot. It's also got some extra carbon fiber parts, meaning that it is so much lighter. But the main difference which I have noticed, just taking a quick glance at the cars, we've got a redesigned exhaust. So we've got 4 exhausts here rather than the kind of 2 exhausts that we had on the other Chiron. It kind of reminds me of a Corvette in a way, those exhausts. But it does look very cool, it does suit the car. But yeah, this is the kind of track variant, as you would say, of the Chiron. And the crowds here at Geneva are getting near enough unbearable now, so I've kind of set base here in the Koenigsegg stand. They have 3 cars here, 2 of which are Regeras, which I'll show you now, both in very, very nice specs. So this one here is kind of like a 1-1 inspired livery. Obviously we've got the carbon strip through there and then the kind of contrast striping and pinstriping around the whole car. It also has the optional ghost pack, I think they call it, which is basically the aerodynamics kit. So we've got the extra, more aggressive canards both on the front here, more aggressive side skirts if that was to focus. And then in coming back here, we've kind of got extra little winglets on the end, kind of remind me of the FXXK. But yeah, definitely a must if you're getting a Regera. Over here on the other side, we can see, oh, look at that, that was good timing. That is one of the coolest features on the Regera. It seems to like open itself automatically. But this one is kind of like a Chiron kind of inspired spec with the kind of 2-tone blue. I didn't realise actually the slightly darker blue is actually carbon. Oh, now the doors are moving. Christ, this is really creepy. Now the back's going down and the front. Blimey, this is crazy. At this point I should probably mention that both this one and the white one on the other side are both actually customer cars. I think they're probably one of the 2 first customer Regeras that have been done, ready to be delivered. So it's very cool to see those. I'm not sure where they're heading in the world, but yeah, very, very cool to see them both here. You join me now at a very, very busy Ferrari stand where we have the brand new 488 Pista. This thing looks so, so good in person. For me personally, it's rare for me to actually like a car straight off from when I see the leaked photos or the launch photos. But my oh my, this thing is certainly a looker. As you can see, it's a lot more aggressive than the standard 488, mainly because it has aerodynamic and powertrain technology taken straight from the Challenge and GTE cars. So it is essentially a race car for the road. It's got 20% more downforce than a standard 488, and you can certainly see that with certain parts. If I just look around to the back of the car here, we've got this really aggressive rear splitter. It's kind of almost, it's almost a wing, but it's fixed in a kind of standard place. Obviously these air vents kind of push the air down, giving the car more downforce at the rear. We've got carbon everywhere, as you can expect from a Ferrari. If you look into the engine bay, all carbon. And then if I come around to the front as well, we can see very, very aggressive front end as well. We've got the Nart stripe, which is kind of traditional for the special series cars, and it looks awesome. And if I get a small peek inside, we've got kind of a traditional modern Ferrari interior, but it's obviously been stripped out a little bit more, seeing as it's kind of taken from the Speciale in that sense. But yeah, the more I look at this thing, the more I love it. It is in fact the most powerful V8 they've ever made, 711 brake horsepower from that twin turbo V8 that comes from the 488 obviously. But yeah, what a car. Anyway, whilst we are here, may as well have a look at the new Portofino. First time I've seen one of these. And yeah, it's not too bad actually. It's kind of the baseline entry level Ferrari. It's actually quite a similar spec to an F12 that a friend of mine owns. But yeah, very, very nice actually. I think these are going to be very popular as well. Now for the final stop of today's video, I've come back to McLaren to take a look at something very, very special. This is the brand new McLaren Senna GTR. Now this thing looks absolutely ridiculous, and I think no better way to start is by looking at this front splitter. That is ridiculous. It kind of reminds me of a whale which is just eating a load of little mini fishes. It is giant. We've got side exit exhaust. We've got a fairly similar wing to the road going one. And we've got this utterly ridiculous rear diffuser. Everything about this car is utterly, utterly ridiculous. So the twin turbocharged 4-litre V8 from the standard Senna, which is actually, may I add, just behind the GTR, has been reworked from 789 brake horsepower to 814. Now, I suppose in this day and age, 800 horsepower is nothing over the top. But due to how light this thing is, I think just over a ton, it means that this thing is blisteringly quick. McLaren themselves have said that there's only one thing quicker than this car, and that is an F1 car that they've made. And that just shows. And it will be very, very interesting to see if these things will actually be made road legal. Obviously the P1 GTR started off as a track-only car, and then Lansante Motorsport back in the UK offered a road legal package, which I think about 35 were done. I don't know how many of these things are being made. I don't know if it's going to be road legal, but I do hope that it is, because this thing is ridiculous just sat here, and I cannot imagine how ridiculous it will look on the road. Anyway, I'm going to have to cut the video there because I am going to be on a bit of a mission with this video. Today, like I said right at the very start of the video, today is the first press day, and I'm going to try and get this video up today. Later today, as I've got to sit down somewhere in this mental show, try and edit and upload a video. So yeah, fingers crossed I do that, because I just want to get this content out for you guys, because this show is just ridiculous. There's so many cars here that I can talk about. I've kind of been restraining myself from talking about every single one. But anyway, yeah, I hope you have enjoyed the first Geneva video from this year. If you did, make sure you leave a like and make sure you subscribe for all the Geneva videos coming soon.